Welcome to Happiness in the City. This is Barbara, and it's great to be with you here for another opportunity to reflect on what is the nature of politics when we connect it with ancient teachings about kingdom and about authority and leadership from the Bible. And I've been focusing on Psalms because they were written by God's king, by real king. And as I was focusing on learning about politics in that context, I realized that there is this huge dimension of political speech and connections that I had no idea existed. So I'm focusing on receiving it from God, which is not something that can be done in an instant. It's a learning process, and share it with you, because we are in a situation today in the world. We need knowledge about world security that comes from the Lord. And we don't have it. So I've been focusing on God because that would be good for everybody, for all people who work for security agencies, who think about security, who apply it, because the security in politics should be peace in the heart. So one of the first things that I realized is that we were not taught how to get it, that incredible phenomenon of peace in the heart. And I talked about it last Happiness in the City. And for the last few weeks, God has been teaching me a lot about the heart. And I think that one of the problems we have today in international relations is that the needs, the nature, and the communications that are connected to the heart are completely ignored. And I think it is a reason that there's so much conflict. The substitution became financial international transactions, but it's not the same thing, because you have a transaction, it's completed, and it's over. Whereas heart is where the beat of life is. So I think that we need to rethink our priorities. And I think that learning about the importance of heart in politics is a wonderful beginning to understand that that's where peace resides, in our hearts. So the peace that comes from God is different than peace that comes from administrative rules and regulations. So it's a very big challenge for me to learn what is the difference. What is the difference? And just like you, I grew up in an administrative context, so in the context of rules and regulations, and all kinds of courts making decisions upon those rules and regulations. But all of this is heartless. So how can we make it right? Can you imagine the judges in the Supreme Court all having the beautiful heart filled with peace? as foundation for the decision making. Wouldn't it be great? All judges, all courts. And I think that we need to ask God to show us how to do it. We don't have it right now. And because of this, there are many conflicts in the world and many communication blockages because words will not substitute for what the heart can supply. Let's continue our foundation in the Bible. Unto thee, this is Psalm 75. Unto thee, O God, do we give thanks. Unto thee do we give thanks. For that thy name is near, thy wondrous works declare. For that thy name is near, thy wondrous works declare. So when we include presence of God in politics, we also have a person to give thanks to. Right now, when good things are happening, we really don't have anyone to thank to. We just don't even do it. We consider it our right to receive certain things from administrative institutions, and we don't need to thank them because if it's our right, they have obligation to supply it to us. So giving thanks to God in the context of politics is a different dimension, different level of political thinking. This is now a very important statement that King David makes. When I shall receive the congregation, I will judge uprightly. Wow. So this is very complex truth for me, because as I grew up in the context of political forces that create governments, but in everything that I've had so far in my experience, the congregation receives the leaders. But here, it's complete opposite. The king receives the congregation, and because of his communication with the Lord and the fact that he has king's heart, he judges the congregation uprightly. So for me, this is a very powerful question to ask God, what does it really mean? And I think that in our generations today, we don't know what it means. We know about the other ways in which congregation has the priority, but this here is about King David receiving the congregation, obviously from the Lord, and then making that oath to judge it uprightly to God. So this is very, very new. In the heritage I come from, it's not new. I come from a beautiful city in northern Poland, Gdansk, Gdańsk, that was created over 1,000 years ago. And it has huge tradition of that kind of rule. This is an area from which Nicola Copernicus comes, of great fame as an astronomer, Templar Knights, Cistercian Knights, Jagiellonian Knights, Teutonic Knights, very powerful fighting organizations with aim to defend the congregations in the name of God. So from my past heritage, I know that my ancestors knew about the obligation of security forces, military forces, to defend the congregation that was given to the king who rules over them by God, and to judge the congregation uprightly. So the meaning of what it means to judge uprightly is another great dimension of standards in courts and in judgments. I spent a lot of time at Harvard Law School and Harvard context, and I knew that they know something in the spirit of Harvard, which is spirit of God, that at that time I did not know really how to connect to, because their understanding of law comes originally from England, that at that time had that understanding of the king's responsibility for congregation and for judging it uprightly. So judging the congregation uprightly also means defending it. And we have a lot of discussions today about our security forces, and I think that what is missing is that understanding that the primary obligation to the congregations that they're supposed to feel to guard and make feel safe, that this understanding is missing in the very education of our police, our security forces, our military. Somehow it got lost, but it is part of American heritage, and I know it for sure because of that great fortune I had to participate in many courses at Harvard University and audit a lot of courses on law at Harvard Law School. So I have that connection to the past of America that comes from that tradition of the leaders receiving congregations from the Lord and then having that responsibility to judge uprightly, not because they are scared of losing elections or they are scared of being punished for misapplying federal law, but because they know that their boss is God. So we have it in American tradition because obviously from the traditions of Harvard Law School that thinking about importance of judging congregations uprightly is very, very influential. So how can we regain that knowledge and apply it, update, so to speak, to current situations? It's a very good question. And I will ask God to help me and you understand it, because in the long run, it's good for everybody. Because this is about the respect that God has for every member of the congregation. Then let's continue here. The earth and all the inhabitants thereof are dissolved. I bear up the pillars of it. I said unto the fools, deal not foolishly, and to the wicked, lift not up the horn. Lift not up your horn on high, speak not with a stiff neck. For promotion cometh neither from the east, nor from the west, nor from the south, but God is the judge. Wow. So this is very political. God is the judge. He putteth down one and setteth up another. So God is the judge. And I remember from the times I was fortunate to be connected to Harvard Law School, was that it was in the spirit of Harvard Law School, but not in speech. Somehow, this truth that God is the judge that was the foundation for the creation of Harvard Law School and Harvard University, somehow this got silenced. And the question that I have now to God is how to break that silence and have a modern update. What does it mean to receive congregation from the Lord? What does it mean to judge uprightly? What does it mean to have God as judge in current political situation? I don't know. I'd love to know. When I was growing up, the churches, synagogues were not talking about this because they were very scared of consequences by atheistic, godless authorities. So those atheistic, godless authorities, they didn't know about God as judge, and neither the members of the churches and synagogues, though they maybe knew, but were unable to voice it, to express it. So as I look around in the world today, and as I know that we need healing from wounds connected with Cold War, which is really the root behind current conflicts. Those traumas haven't been healed yet. And I think that as I'm searching for God's way to deal with this, I realized that there is this dimension of the direction of relationships between the leaders and the congregations that includes understanding that law comes from the Lord. So I am very optimistic now that we have future, that instead of continuing in that error that we live in right now, that we can ask God how to receive the update of what King David knew for our current situations. It's really awesome. And I feel that if this happens in America, it will bring beautiful love of peace that comes from the heart of God's presence in that peace. And that's what I wish to myself, to you, to the whole world, that we will learn what it is. We don't know it, but I'm sure that just as we loved and accepted the uh, smartphones, that when we start feeling this peace in our hearts, that peace that comes in the name of the Lord, that it will be so awesome and so powerful and so freeing that we will not want to go back to the old errors. My ancestors knew that, and somehow we lost it. Somehow it was passed on only in fragments from the past generations to us. So what we need to ask God is to bring this presence of peace in our hearts by all of us understanding that the heart is the center of security and defense of life. And that is a concept of peace that we need. Because when this peace comes, it comes from divine vision, we'll be able to continue our generations into the future without those past traumas of very dangerous wars. And that's what I ask God for, to bring to Russia, Europe, Ukraine, all the former republics of the Soviet Union, to the Middle East, Iran, Israel, the center of God's presence in the world, that we will be able to focus on that peace that comes from God, that we can have grasp of. Our ancestors knew it, we can do it too. Copernicus, the wonderful astronomer from Fromberg, that created modern astronomy, that today developed into SpaceX and all kinds of other amazing things. He received all that knowledge from God. He was a very powerful man, guided by the Spirit of God. So why shouldn't we acknowledge that that is the guidance spirit of SpaceX too? That we can have that understanding that Spirit of God is guiding NASA, all the knowledge connected with the amazing technology that we have. So what I'm saying is that in all the current discussions about artificial intelligence, internet, all the electronics, that we can ask God for His peace to come to this dimension of our relationships too. That we will be able then to develop financial systems from that amazing peace that would create justice in the congregations that is upright, beautiful, and safe. So I think that that is the future. Let's continue in the Psalm. For in the hand of the Lord there is a cup, and the wine is red. It is full of mixture, and he poureth out of the same, but the dregs thereof. All the wicked of the earth shall wring them out and drink them. That's kind of scary, but God is God. We don't understand it. God, we can only have connections to God, but no one really can mess with God. But I will declare forever, I will sing praises to the God of Jacob. All the horns of the wicked also will I cut off, but the horns of the righteous shall be exalted. So, this is affirmation that we need that presence of divine authority in our lives, and we cannot get it on our own. That two ways in which we can get it is by God reawakening and updating what we inherited from our ancestors, and secondly, for certain situations, to get brand new knowledge about that kind of peace. And I'd love to experience it. And in many ways, that would be my victory over Karl Marx and the fact that all the socialism and communism created so much harm and so much division and so many wars. So let God's peace prevail. Let God arise and teach us how to receive peace from Him.